Greetings from Toronto. My name is 𝘺𝘰𝘯𝘥𝘢. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and the owner of Milmantas Immigration Services in Toronto. We receive very many inquiries from foreign nationals wherein they express their wish to immigrate to Canada as caregivers. Therefore, I am speaking on this topic tonight. But first, please be advised that this is not a legal advice, but sharing information and experience gained for your information and your education purposes. For legal opinion, please contact an immigration professional, and one will advise you based on your specific situation. So, at the present time, there are two immigration categories under Caregiver program. One is Home Child Care Provider Pilot, and the second, Home Support Worker Pilot programs. As you can see, as a child care provider, a foreign national needs to be paid $17.17 if one is working in Toronto. And if somebody is caring for elderly, the hourly rate is at the present time $17.50. So, which means that in every single province, in different regions, the hourly rate for caregivers is different, and the employer is obligated to pay the hourly rate as it is established by ESDC. So two parties are involved in this program: qualifying foreign national and qualifying Canadian employer. And in both cases, as you can see, I'm emphasizing the word qualifying foreign national and qualifying Canadian qualifying Canadian employer. The program for new applicants opens on January 1st. And each year, 2,750 applications are accepted under each category. At the time the presentation is given in June of 2023, the Home Worker Pilot is still open to new applicants, while the Home Child Care Provider Pilot is closed because it reached the quota in 2-3 hours on January 1st. So strategically, the solution for this is that you should gain qualifications under both categories, for caring for elderly and for caring for children. Of course, if you like caring for elderly and caring for children. For elderly, the demand for elderly is in high demand, especially after COVID. Eligibility requirements for foreign national. They're not complicated. They are rather simple. The language requirements, CLB5, in every ability: reading, speaking, writing, and listening. The foreign national must be able to perform duties and responsibilities under one of the categories, possess 1-year Canadian post-secondary credential, or have their foreign credentials assessed by an organization designated by immigration, and have that job offer from a Canadian qualifying employer. So now let's talk about eligibility requirements for Canadian employer. Not every employer is qualified for this to issue offer of employment. So, the need for caregiver must be genuine, is paramount. And the employer must be able to meet the wage requirements as established by each province. So, if the foreign national does not have a Canadian employer who needs their services, immigration under this category is not possible. So let's look at briefly at advantages and disadvantages of this program. So caregiver is issued an occupation-specific work permit rather than it used to be based on LMIA, an employer-specific work permit, and which provides the ability to change employers quickly if needed. Work permit is valid for 3 years, and one of the greatest advantages is that a spouse, common law partner, and dependent children are eligible to apply for work permit and visitor visa or study permit, and accompany the caregiver to Canada, and therefore the family will be able to live together in Canada while the caregiver is working for a Canadian family for 1 year, and then she would be able to finalize her process for permanent resident status under this category. Caregivers are no longer required to live with the employing family. A live-in arrangement is still available if there is a need, which is voluntary on both sides. And number 5, it may be submitted from inside, in or outside of Canada. And the greatest advantage is that there is no labor market assessment required. So it is a new requirement, new change, effective as of April 30th of 2023, which is effective retroactively, that the foreign worker is required to work 12 months in Canada for a Canadian employer under one of the 2 programs, and then he will be required to provide additional documentation to immigration, and the application should be successfully finalized, of course, if it is properly prepared. Then I mentioned that as of April, 12-month experience required. So you have to cut it out. So the disadvantages. The disadvantage is that the processing times are very lengthy. When the program was announced, the government stated that it will take 12 months to have a work permit issued. However, in reality, that is not the case. Of course, it needs to be mentioned that these enormous delays have affected all immigration categories due to COVID pandemic. The other disadvantage is that if the family needs immediate assistance or a caregiver, they need to look for solutions from within Canada until the caregiver is issued a work permit and arrives to Canada. The third disadvantage is that if the worker does not like the employer, the foreign worker is free to go and look for another employer. Okay, so at this time, I would like to give you a little bit some tips. If you are a professional working in your own country as a principal of a high school or a financial advisor in a financial institution, but you gained experience as a caregiver, as you saw that your caregiver may be the only option for you or maybe the best option for you to immigrate to Canada, it may be a little bit difficult as you would have to adjust the attitude that back home you might have had home support, cleaning lady, or a gardener, or a chauffeur. And here you would have to adjust that you are a service provider. You are a service provider. The best way to get a job as a caregiver is to mobilize your friends and family who are already in Canada, and maybe they would be able to locate a potential employer for you in Canada. Canada is a multicultural country, and every family has their own cultural traditions, values, and standards how they wish to raise their children. Please have in mind that because you should follow their instructions and not the way how you raised your own children or the way children are raised in your native country. So please have that in mind as well. For people who are watching this presentation from Canada, this program is a good program to bring your relatives. However, they must meet all the requirements, because during the processing of the application, you will be challenged if this offer is a genuine offer. One of the reasons that this program had very many changes, as there used to be abuse in the past, psychological, financial exploitation. This is why immigration issues in the past. There used to be abuse, psychological, financial, or any other form of abuse. And that is why immigration issues an open work permit, which allows to change employers quickly if that unfortunate situation presents. If the above does not exist, please be kind and complete your contractual obligations, as after all, you are in Canada thanks to this Canadian employer, to this Canadian family. If something is not quite so, you would like to be, it is possible that you might think it over and see maybe there is something that you can adjust and resolve the issues and finalize this contractual obligation that you signed with a Canadian employer. Finally, if you need help with the caregiver application, we're here to help you. Please complete our online questionnaire, which is meant for the assessment needs only, to establish if you are eligible under either of the two programs, or if you are not eligible, to suggest and advise you what steps you would need to take in order to qualify under one of these categories. Thank you for watching. I hope you find this presentation valuable, and I wish you luck. All the best.